into university. There's a bit of a misconception out there that the only pathway into university is your school results that you receive in Year 12. This is absolutely not the case. As you can see on the screen, there's a variety of different pathways available into university, but perhaps more so into Flinders University. We've recognised that school perhaps isn't for everyone. It doesn't necessarily show everyone's strengths. So we've developed a variety of different pathways that are available to you, some of which you can do while you are still at school. So the first two that I want to speak about are two of those, two that you can do at school, the Flinders Uni Test and Research Project B. Flinders Uni Test, please do not get this confused with the STAT test. I'll be going through that a little bit later, but the STAT is open to everyone or applies to all universities in South Australia, whereas the Flinders Uni Test is specific to Flinders University. So the way this works is this is a test that is sat at your school and it is not compulsory. This is something that you need to nominate that you want to do, and you normally tell your careers teacher that you want to register for this test. The way it works is you sit the test at an allocated time. It goes for about 2 hours. It's done on a computer, and it's based on aptitude. So it's all about problem solving, critical thinking, reasoning side of things. So you can't even really study for this test, which is another bonus, and it's all multiple choice. The way it works is if you sit this test and you excel in it, you do really well, then at the end of the year, we'll get your uni test results as well as your school ATAR, your ATAR, and we'll mash the two numbers together. It's weighted 40% on uni test, 60% in ATAR, and if those two numbers mash together, bring up an ATAR or a number that is higher than your ATAR, that is what we will use to get you into Flinders University. However, if you don't do so well in the uni test, then basically when we mash those two numbers together, it might bring out a number that is less than your original ATAR, and if that's the case, we completely disregard it. It does not get utilised at all. It doesn't hit our systems. There is no disadvantage to sitting this test. So if this is something that you're interested in, which in Year 12 you will have that option to sit it, this is something that you can do that will potentially get you into Flinders University. The second one we have is Research Project B, and this is another pathway into university that is unique to Flinders University. The way this works is if you've already completed your Research Project B, then it works in a similar way to uni test, where it's where you take the results of your Research Project B with your ATAR, mash the numbers together, and if that number is higher, then that is the score that we will use to get you into Flinders University. The reason this pathway exists is because we've recognised that the skills you need to excel in Research Project B are often the same skills that you need to excel at Flinders University. So that is why Research Project B exists. This is also unique to Flinders University though. And as I mentioned, there's nothing more you need to do. This is all considered automatically. If you've done Research Project B, that will be shown in your SATAC application when you apply for university. The next pathway we have is the Foundation Studies program. So this is a program that you can do once you've completed Year 12. If you're eligible to be in Year 12, then unfortunately you are not able to do Foundation Studies program. This is not to replace your Year 12 studies. The way this works is you have two different options. You can choose to study over 3 months or at night over a 7-month period. So there's 2 intakes each year for the 3-month period. And generally speaking, it's only for about 2 days a week for about 2 hours at a time. Within those, within the duration of your program, you're covering 4 topics. You're covering the introduction to university academic writing, academic literacy, academic numeracy, and then an introduction to different study areas at Flinders University, and of course how to apply to Flinders University. This is a really great preparation program that can help you succeed once you get to Flinders University. However, as well as preparing you for university, if all you do is pass the Foundation Studies program, you actually have guaranteed entry into 14 degrees at Flinders. So you just need to pass and then you can walk into one of 14 degrees at Flinders that we have on offer for you. Alternatively, if you work really hard, get some really good grades, then we can use your grades to apply for more competitive courses that are outside those 14 degrees that you have guaranteed entry into. So it's always worth trying to do your best within this program. It is free and it's run at a variety of different locations. The first 3 topics are held at a TAFE near you. Some of the more popular ones are the TAFE TAFE in the city, the Stretton Centre out north, and the Noarlunga Centre down south. So the first 3 topics are held there, and then the final topic is held here at Bedford Park on the main campus, whereas at night school, this is done all at Bedford Park. So this is one pathway program that can be really useful if you want to set yourself up to succeed at Flinders University. Another few options that we have for you is the STAT. Now, this is the test that you can do to basically generate a new basis of admission. So what I mean by this is if you register to sit the STAT and you sit this test, it's a 2-hour test, you can create another basis of admission. So to sit the STAT, you apply for it through your SATAC application. So when you apply for university, you can register to sit the STAT as well. However, you do need to be 18 by February 1, 2021. If you're in year 12 this year and looking to apply for study next year, you need to be 18 by February 1, 2021. You can sit the test when you're 17. As long as you're 18 by that date, your results will be eligible for a basis of admission for semester 1, 2021. There's lots of information on the STAT available on the SATAC website. There's a whole bunch of FAQs there, which I'd recommend you have a look at if you are interested in sitting the STAT. The way it works is essentially if you are registered to sit the STAT and you get an ATAR as well, we will look at whichever one is highest to get you into the course you want at Flinders University. It doesn't weigh down your ATAR in any way, we'll just look at whichever one's highest. We also offer an Indigenous admissions scheme, so if you do identify as Indigenous or Torres Strait Islander, please have a look on our website and have a look at the Indigenous admissions scheme there. And of course, if you have done a Certificate 3 as part of your Year 12 studies, then that can also be your pathway into university. However, with a Certificate 3, you don't have guaranteed entry into courses. You will be competitive for some of our courses, not a whole bunch, but that you will be competitive for some of our courses. And if that's something that you want to find out, then make sure you get in touch with us. However, if you go on and do a Certificate 4 or perhaps a diploma in something, then that can be your ticket into university. The way it works is if you have done perhaps when you graduate school, you want to do a Certificate 4 in floristry because that's your passion, that is not a problem. Go ahead and do that. And then perhaps the following year you decide that you actually have a passion for nursing. We will look at your Certificate 4, and if that Certificate 4 provides you, or you'll see there it provides you guaranteed entry into 80 courses. If nursing is one of those courses, then you will be guaranteed a place in the Bachelor of Nursing based on your Certificate 4 in floristry. They do not need to be in the same study area. However, if they are, it is likely you'll actually receive some recognition for your study. So I'm an example of this. When I left school, I studied a diploma in sport and recreation and a diploma in event management. It was only later in life that I actually decided that I wanted to come to university, and I applied for a Bachelor of Business. So my diploma actually got me a year of credit from my Bachelor of Business. So my 3-year business degree actually became 2 years based on the previous study that I had done. So you can receive recognition for the study you've done through TAFE if the subjects do align quite closely. However, if they don't align quite closely, it is more than okay. You can still use that as your pathway into university. Obviously, the higher certificate level, so if you go through to a diploma or an advanced diploma, you actually have guaranteed entry into a whole bunch more courses. If you're wanting to find that out, I'd find out what courses you have guaranteed entry into. Visit the TAFE link page on our website for all of the information. The Elite Athlete Admission Scheme is another pathway into university. If you're currently competing in a sport at a state or national level, then it's definitely worthwhile looking into the Elite Athlete Admission Scheme. Basically, this is where Flinders University recognises that we have a lot of elite athletes in Australia. We have a bunch of sporty people. So if your sport has taken over perhaps your studies in Year 12, then this could be a pathway into university for you. As I mentioned, though, you do need to be competing at a state or national level, and essentially your coach will go into bat for you and support the statement that you're saying that your studies has been interrupted by your sporting goals. If Year 12 doesn't go to plan for you, no matter what that reason might be, if perhaps you've fallen ill or there's been a death in the family or an extreme situation where you haven't been able to study to the best of your ability, then sometimes your school can go into bat for you. So this is where your principal will need to recommend you you'll also need to provide your school results from previous years, but this is essentially where your school will say, hey, Emily didn't go as well as she could have this year. We did expect her to get a higher ATAR than she did, and we think she's more capable of getting that ATAR. So this school's recommendation program can help you get into some degrees at Flinders. It won't help you boost your ATAR from an ATAR of 65 to 85, but it might help bump it up a couple of notches. So worthwhile having in the back of the mind, because sometimes Year 12 doesn't always go to plan, and if that's the case, it's not the end of the world. We will always find you a pathway into what you want. Now the next slide is more so about once you get to university, but the reason it's relevant now is because once you get to university, you're no longer working towards an ATAR like you would be at school. You're actually working towards something called a grade point average, a GPA. And that's a collection or a score of all of your university topics. So what this means is that if you average on a GPA of 7, you are getting high distinctions for everything at university. If you're on a GPA of 6, then you are in the distinction sort of average zone. 5 is sort of your credit average zone, and 4 is your passing. So the reason this is important to you now is because we do have quite a few competitive courses at Flinders University. So they're courses that have an ATAR, if you are planning to use your ATAR as a base of admission, that is quite high. So think of your allied health side of things are quite often tend to be quite competitive courses to get into. So this is where it's important that you speak with us, and if you don't get the score that you need to get straight into the course that you want, then we can always recommend a pathway course. So this pathway course will quite often mean that if you start in this course, work really hard to get some good grades, generate a good GPA, then we can use your GPA as your basis of admission to apply for a more competitive course down the track. Sometimes, not all courses, but a lot of courses, you can actually receive full credit for the studies that you've done in your pathway course to get into your goal course as well. So again, nothing to stress about too much right now, but just know that this is how we can move you around in degrees and get you into more competitive degrees once you're at university. So as you can see, there's a lot of different pathways into university. I've gone through some of them that are available for you today. Please don't stress out about getting into university. I think the biggest takeaway from all of this presentation is there's always a pathway into what you want. And that's essentially what we are here to do for you, is we're here to help make that transition from school into university a little bit easier for you. So if you do have any questions, feel free to email us. Email us success@flinders.edu.au, and someone will be able to chat to you about all of your different pathway options. Alternatively, you can call us on the 1300 number that is all over our website. Just press option 1 and that'll come through directly to our team. We do plan to have an online chat function happening in the next week or two as well on our website, so you can chat with us directly. We're even available via Facebook Messenger, so you've always got a way to ask us questions. And of course, phone appointments as well can be booked, where we can have a chat with you at an arranged time. So good luck with your studies for the rest of the year. And of course, if you have any questions at all, please never hesitate to get in touch. And hopefully we'll see you on campus soon enough, face to face as well, so you can explore the campus. Thanks a lot. Bye.